Lennon, with the recent announcement of Halo Campaign Evolved, you could say that I've been feeling a little bit inspired lately. Now,
is that right?
You know, a little bit dabbling. You know, that little light bulb on top of my head has an idea. It's been flickering on and off. I've personally been reflecting on the Halo series and how it's evolved and changed over these years from its first iteration with Combat Evolved. Cool, I'm gonna screw it up. Combat Evolved to its most recent iteration with Halo Infinite. I've been playing pretty much every single Halo game in preparation for today's discussion. And why is that? I hear you asking, Lennon. Why, David? Why? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because today I'm going to be definitely ranking each and every Halo.
I was about to ask, but you asked for me.
I asked for you because you're too slow. In today's video, I'm going to be defiantly ranking every Halo game from worst to best today. So we'll be looking obviously at both Bungie's and 343's Halo games and giving my opinion and overreaching thoughts on each game. And just a quick disclaimer, I won't be including Halo Wars 1 or 2, purely because they are not the traditional Halo game experience. They're both RTS games, and they're both great in their own right, but on their own merit. But I feel like they deserve to be on a different list. So if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, they're just like a completely different type of game. So
yeah,
probably doesn't make much sense.
It's like it's hard to compare first-person shooter to an RTS game. I know that's in the both same universe. However, you know, can't really compare apples and oranges. Am I right, boys? Am I right?
Right.
But anyway, with that out of the way, I think we should just dive straight into the first Halo game. Starting out with 8th place, which is crazy to think that there's been 8 iterations of this game. It seems like it's only yesterday that I was only picking up Halo 3 for the first time, and now we're up to 8. Wow. So
well, I just think what blows my mind is that there's been so many iterations, but it feels like we haven't received, like, in the last 10 years, we've received fuck all Halo games, but there's still been so many of them.
I know, right? It's weird, isn't it? Time. How does it work? In 8th place, we have Halo 3. Just kidding.
Oh my god. I was going to say, are you serious?
No. Just throwing a bit of a curveball at you. I just want to see your reaction. In 8th place, we have Halo 5 Guardians.
You son of a bitch.
Now, this was the first Halo that came out on the Xbox One, obviously the new generation at the time. And my God, was this game anticipated. We wanted the next-gen Halo experience. And oh boy, did 343 deliver a very next-gen experience.
They delivered an experience, all right.
It was an experience. I don't think it was next-gen. I think really why I'm placing this Halo on the bottom tier list is that I feel like the campaign dropped the ball a lot, especially with this dual narrative between Locke and Chief's story. I really didn't care much about Locke's story at all. I just really wanted to play as Master Chief. And I really hated that you can only play, I think, Master Chief like 3 or 4 levels, and you play as Locke for the majority of the campaign. And I really didn't care about his characters or the development characters. As well, it did feel very soulless. It didn't really feel like it was a Halo game. It felt like it was a very soulless version of Halo. When I was replaying it, it does still look great. 343 did make a very beautiful game with beautiful animations, cutscenes, and level design. However, gameplay and mechanically wise, it wasn't a Halo game in my opinion. It felt more like it was going into the realm of like a Call of Duty FPS first person shooter.
Yeah.
And
I think that was a pretty common feedback around the time when it released as well. It was like they were really trying to focus on that whole like Call of Duty MLG kind of vibe, and I don't think a lot of people like that at the time.
Yeah, 100% agree. And it didn't feel like Halo. And when you play the multiplayer, I tried to play it, didn't really find any games for it. However, when I went into custom games or private match, you know, there's sprinting, there's aim down sights. It really felt like 343 was trying to make Halo the next MLG kind of game, and with this more of this esports tone.
Yeah.
And to me, it just didn't really land.
Sure.
Forge was great. It's good to have Forge in there, but I don't think what 343 delivered in this package warrants enough for this game to be hard on the list, especially with the other Halo games that I'm going to bring up, because, like I said, it just did feel like a very soulless entry into the series.
Yeah, totally fair.
But yeah, any thoughts on that? Any thoughts that you have on that at all?
It doesn't surprise me to hear that that's the last. I think for a lot of people, that's probably their last game. And I think a lot of people were excited for it at the time. I was certainly excited because Halo 4, but like Halo 4 came out at the very end of the Xbox 360 generation, and I think everyone was so impressed because visually, I mean, if you look at that game today, it still looks really good considering it's a 360 game, and it felt like it pushed the hardware to its limits as to what Halo could look like on that console generation. So I think a lot of people were really excited for what Halo 5 could look like on the Xbox One generation. And I think a lot of people were also intrigued by the whole, like, the Hunt the Truth marketing campaign, where it's like the different POVs of, like, Chief versus Locke and all that stuff. But obviously the product that we ended up getting, where literally most of the campaign, like 2/3 of the campaign, was with Locke and his team. It was just like, okay, well, that's not what we expected.
I'll never forget, like, oh my god, the showdown's finally happening, Locke versus Chief, and it's just a cutscene.
It's a cutscene. It's a cutscene.
And I'm like, you're kidding me. You could have made it like an interesting design choice where you like choose your side, Chief or Locke, and just see exactly how it could affect like the story. But no, it's a cutscene, and it's just Chief dunking on Locke.
So shit, dude. But I mean, look, graphically it looks cool.
Graphically, yeah. I mean, hey, it's pretty.
It's animated well. What can I say?
Animated well. And
very keen to hear what your next game is, though.
We're gonna jump into it. At number 7, we have Halo Infinite, the most recent entry into the Halo series. This did feel like a bit of a return to form in gameplay feel. I mean, they has some crisp movement. The gunplay has felt satisfying. The story does seem like it's more of a solid, more foundation compared to Halo's 5 story. However, to me, the campaign did feel a bit half-finished in a way, and I'm not too sure how to describe it. It just felt like there was more they wanted to tell, but I feel like we was held back because of the live service model. And I don't know if they wanted to tell more of a story, but they wanted to hold it back because of the live service model, or vice versa. And on top of that, the multiplayer is now free to play. And when it was first released, it was a bit of a dumpster fire. Yeah, I don't know if you played it at all, but essentially it was cool. It's cool that it's free to play. Don't get me wrong. Being free to play is incredibly cool. I welcome that. However, when it first launched, there was a lot of connectivity issues and a lot of playlist issues. Like, they didn't have the most famous playlists out there, limited maps, a very weird progression system where obviously it promotes you to use a battle pass system, as well as no forge, no custom games.
It didn't even release with the campaign. It just released multiplayer at the start for a while.
Yeah, it was like, here's multiplayer. Oh, by the way, here's the campaign. And no split screen, no forge. And it felt, while yes, an improvement from 5, it still felt, it was a step in the right direction, but it felt like they stepped forward once and then 2 steps back in a way.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
However, it was, with how good it is, I think, a little bit of a disappointment because we've been waiting so long from 5 to Infinite, and Microsoft did hype this up that it was going to be, like return to formula stuff. And they hit the mark with a lot of it, but missed a lot as well, which is why it's on my 7th list, or number 7.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear a lot of those thoughts because it kind of echoes the sentiment that I have, or perspective I have towards the game as well. I played the absolute shit out of it when multiplayer was released, and I played through the campaign a little bit when it came out finally, and I was just like, man, it's just not grabbing me. Like, the gameplay, I agree to a certain extent. Like, it did kind of feel like a return to form. It definitely felt better than 5, but I just didn't like that it was kind of like this quasi, like this open world kind of thing, and it just felt like, it's like you guys are delaying this game over and over and over again, and this is it. So I felt like the trust had already been eroding with 343 at the time, obviously now Halo Studios. It was eroding from 5, and this did not help their case, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
At the start, I think everyone was like, oh yeah, multiplayer is fucking back, because the multiplayer did feel really good, but the season, the rollout of the seasons was so fucking slow. And just with all the promises that were made, and, most of them were kept, but how long did it take for them to bring in these extra features like Forge and all that stuff? So, yeah, I totally get why it would be 7th place.
Well, like I said, there's a reason why the Master Chief Collection is played more than Infinite. And
yeah,
we could argue, we know why. Because
100%.
those games have a foundation that's timeless. and it just Infinite couldn't capture that same magic.
Yeah.
Moving on to number 6, we are moving on to Halo 4. Now, it's so funny to me. I feel like
343 is just you really don't like their games.
I feel like it's such, for me personally, I don't know if people agree with me, it's such a comparison or very similar to the most recent Star Wars movies where like episode 7 was really good and then the 8th one was really awful and then the 9th one they tried to fix it. and I feel like it's the same kind of with the 343 games. Halo 4 was really good. Halo 5 was awful, and they tried to fix it with Infinite, but it didn't land properly.
You know, I can see that. I can see that.
Halo 4 essentially was 343's first Halo game, after the department of Bungie, who then went to go work on Destiny. This was the last Halo game that appeared on the Xbox 360. Visually, it looks stunning. If you would have told me it was on Xbox 360, I wouldn't believe you. It's a very pretty game. And the story is much more engaging than I feel that compared to obviously Guardians or Infinite. Mainly because this is more of a strong emotional arc for Chief and Cortana, and I love both of these characters, and it's really nice to see them go through this campaign together. Gameplay feels really great, feels really tight, still stays true to Halo's formula and identity. However, it's hard. While yes, it's a good game, it does feel like this story kind of drifts away from the story of Halo, because I feel like you only see Halo for like 3.5 seconds in this game, and then it goes back to Chief and Cortana, which is great. Great story. The multiplayer was alright. I didn't have any issues with the multiplayer. I think it was quite fun to play. However, to me, it still lives in the shadow of obviously the next Halo games that we're going to talk about, and that's why it's in its 6th place. Okay. Solid campaign, solid multiplayer, but still it just didn't capture the magic as the next Halo games I'm going to be talking about.
Really, really interesting perspective. Again, now that you've mentioned the whole Star Wars sequel trilogy comparison, I kind of can't not see that in my head. It definitely feels like The Force Awakens in a way, where at the time, because my friend Jeremy, him and I used to skip school and play, basically just like call in sick and then play the campaign.
Wow.
And
you had it here, folks. What a rebel.
I've got wow, I know, right? Well, I've got such fond memories of playing this Halo game specifically, and I really liked it at the time. But in hindsight, I can absolutely see how it doesn't have that same magic, that same feel, and that same personality that made Halo feel special. And maybe it's a shift in direction towards the foreigner enemy. I don't know. Like, for me, Halo feels like the Covenant. You've got the elites, you've got the brutes and all that stuff, the Flood. And it just felt like we kind of, because it stepped in that new direction, but it also had this new aesthetic and this new look, it almost made it feel just inspired by Halo, but not quite Halo. So I don't know. Really, really interesting perspective to hear there. And I agree.
Well, thank you for your agreement. Now, these next 5 rankings, I want to preface by saying these was the most hardest, I felt the most hardest trying to make this list. From 5 to 1.
Ooh, here we go.
And the reason why is because, let me preface by saying, all these games that I'm about to mention, they are amazing games. They are brilliant games. However, they're still, in my mind, most perfect masterpiece first-person shooters that I've played in a single game story. And it was incredibly tough. It's like trying to pick out who your favorite kid is. You just can't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just can't pick out your favorite kid.
It's a ranking video, man. You got to put them somewhere.
But I put them somewhere. So without further ado, here are the last 5. So number 5 is Halo Combat Evolved.
Okay. You know what? I think that's completely fair.
The game that started it all. It was a revolutionary when it was released in 2001, with breathtaking visuals, a very interesting new world, a new story, tight design, and obviously the mystery of Halo. When you first play this game, you have no idea what Halo is, and who the Covenant are, and why are you called Master Chief, and why are you green, and why is there Flood trying to eat your brains?
I thought it was Master Chef.
Master Chef. It's actually Gordon Ramsay. It's Gordon Ramsay in the helmet. I have nothing but fond memories of Halo Combat Evolved. Playing it late night, split screen on my Xbox with my friends, like 4 players. I remember and it was specifically a year in high school, could have been at the end of year 9 or year 10, where somehow Halo Combat Evolve was on every school computer, and we all had a massive LAN party of like 16 by 16 people just playing Halo. And I remember
stuff like that.
And I remember some guy hosted a lobby, and it just said it was my last name, and it goes, my last name is gay, and that awoken something in me. I joined that lobby and mopped the floor with I sweated the shit out of that lobby. Like, there was like a 20 KD difference. I made sure everyone knew I was top dog. You know, well,
I grabbed the closest boy and I gave him a smooch.
And I gave him a smooch. You know, some fun memories. The campaign is excellent. The introduction of the Flood will still be the most like prevalent game moment in my mind, because I just remember how scared I was of like this new enemy type. I'm like, what is this? Why are they trying to eat my brains? And to me, I think it's deserving to be in the 5th spot. You know, it is a very perfect way to start a game in Saga, and to this day, I don't think there's been a game that has been quite effective like Halo Combat Evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said at the start, it's the one that started it all. Yeah. I definitely think that it's probably the most dated out of the Bungie era Halos.
Yes, it's very dated.
Yeah, it had to start somewhere, right?
So it had to start somewhere. The reason why it's in that spot is because, you know, the other games vastly improved on the storytelling, the visuals, the level design, the multiplayer. So yeah, you gotta give the OG, you know, props when needed.
Absolutely.
Moving on to number 4 is Halo 2.
Oh, okay. I thought this one was going to be higher.
Yeah, you know, like I said, this was a very tough list for me. It was incredibly hard to find out where Halo 2 was going to go. Now, Halo 2 did everything a sequel should have done. It improved on the formula. It increased the stakes. It looks better. It plays better. The story is overall a better story from 1. Arguments over the ending, because it does end on a cliffhanger. However, having the dual narrative of Master Chief and the Arbiter was just something I didn't see coming. And it was really a unique perspective to see the Arbiter story, especially that we didn't see this side in the first game, or what the Covenant's goals or ambitions were. We got to see the hierarchy, the political influence, the religion influence that the Prophets had over the Covenant alien races. To me, I thought the Covenant was just one alien race, one enemy type, but it was so interesting to play Halo 2 and see that, no, these are all different races under this one ideology. And to me, the story, that dual narrative was an eye-opener, and I really do prop Bungie for taking that risk, because it could have gone south really fast. Level design is almost crisp, and it is crisp as well. They improved on the first game, as well as with the new weapons, also new vehicles. It's just so fun to play. Especially now you can play it in the remaster version, which looks incredibly beautiful. And as well, it was my first introduction to online multiplayer through Xbox Live with Halo 2 multiplayer. And I remember I spent the whole summer just playing that back to back. I was in a clan. I met so many people. I was a squeaker. So many people had intercourse with my mom. I couldn't believe it. So that's why Halo 2 is on my list at number 4.
Cool.
All right. With number 3, we are down to our last 3, and let me tell you, it got harder the more I kept going down the list. We have Halo 3 ODST.
We've never been so hard.
Yeah, trust me, I'm hard. I'm hard right now. So Halo 3 ODST, you know, it's probably one of the most unique Halos that we have gotten, because we are not a super soldier, we are not a super elite as the Arbiter. It tells the stories of special ops soldiers diving into the city of New Mombasa, essentially where a catastrophic event happens, where essentially when they go into split space at the end of Halo 2, the ODSTs get all scattered around throughout the city, and you meticulously go through the city. It is very lonely streets, noir kind of vibe with the rain, and that soundtrack, it was just hits different. And you realize that you're not a super soldier. You're a human.
Yeah, you're essentially you're vulnerable.
You're vulnerable. You don't have armor. You don't have an energy shield. You are weak. Like, you can't go around with a grav hammer and just bonk brutes in the head. It really just shows how strong the Covenant are against everyday human soldiers, which blew my mind because obviously it's a perspective that I'd never considered because, we spent majority of the Halo campaign playing as the demon who causes fears against the Covenant. So it was a really, really refreshing perspective to play in this little sandbox and get to know these different characters who you fall in love with because they have such unique personalities. And they're all just trying to do the right thing by the human race and by their team. And to me, it's why it's number 3, because it's probably one of Halo's best side stories that Bungie have ever produced. There was no multiplayer for this, but it did introduce Firefight, which was essentially its own variant of Gears of War Horde mode, which I spent many, many hours with my friends playing as Sergeant Johnson because I pre-ordered this game and got the Sergeant Johnson DLC. Going through and trying to beat every firefight level on Legendary, and let me tell you, it makes you sweat. It makes you bloody sweat. Yeah. But number 2, so these last 2 are incredibly difficult, but number 2 is Halo Reach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Halo Reach.
Okay, well, to be fair, that does make sense because process of elimination, I know which one is number 1. But okay, cool.
Halo
I'm
Wars
very
2.
keen to hear your thoughts. Halo Wars.
So, Halo Reach was Bungie's last farewell to the Halo series, and it was a beautiful farewell. I loved everything about this game, from its story to its multiplayer to the visuals, and getting to experience essentially what started this whole entire Halo saga, playing as Noble 6, and that ending will always be, I think, one of the best endings where Noble 6, just tries to hold off the final waves. We had improvements to multiplayer with its new armor variants and its new gameplay mechanics, but it was very tough to put this as number 2 because it could have gone either way. And to me, I just think the game that's number 1 just has the edge over this game. And this game, Halo Reach, is a 10 out of 10, but the number 1, like I said, just has the edge over it. And that's why Halo Reach is at my number 2. Which brings us to the final one, which is Halo 3.
I wonder what it's going to be. Ooh.
It's Halo Wars 2. I know, Halo 3, to me, is the perfect Halo game. It came out at the peak of the 360 with a storyline that was brought up so beautifully well that it couldn't be beaten in my eyes. It can't be beaten in my eyes. It had the epic score, the perfect sandbox, the iconic soundtrack, Forge, 4-player co-op, theater, the full package. I remember grinding for hours to try to get Recon, and I could never get Recon. I still to this day don't know how to get Recon. But to me, I just have so many fun memories of playing the campaign and custom games multiplayer with my friends that we were able to build it, Infected Match, Jenga, and its competitive multiplayer with its epic moments. Just to me, Halo 3 is the perfect Halo, and that's why it's the gold standard. It's the perfect balance between campaign and multiplayer, and that's why it deserves to be at the number 1 spot.
And you know what? I can't fault you for that. I think Halo 3 marked a very special point in the series for a lot of people, especially with the LAN play multiplayer and online multiplayer. It was such a social event. Typically with multiplayer, you'd, party up with your friends online and all that stuff, and a lot of that did happen, but it felt like a very in-person social game as well, and the marketing was incredible, and I just think that it felt like the conclusion to the original trilogy that I think everyone hoped for, and they just knocked it out of the park. It was perfect. I couldn't agree more with that. Well, I was going to say with that list, I do think that I would probably do things a little bit differently, but this is your list, and I with how you've explained it all, I can see why you've put everything where you have. So yeah. You're just like,
actually, the best Halo game is the Borderlands pre-sequel.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey, would you look at that? You've made it through the entirety of this episode. Congratulations. This video is just one section of our weekly gaming podcast called Last Week in Gaming Today. If you're interested in checking out the full episode or more discussions like the one you've just watched, I'll leave a link to the podcast in the description and comment section below.